Well, great. I think we'll go ahead and get started. We'll keep letting people in as they arrive. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. We know your time is precious, and we know you have been on lots of Zooms. We think you'll really appreciate and enjoy this one. Thank you for coming. I'm Jennifer Billow. I'm the Associate Director of the Park City Education Foundation. Helping me with this tonight is Mitch von Puttkammer, who's our Donor Engagement Specialist, a Park City High School grad, class of 2011 himself. And Mitch is kind of the man behind the curtain there. So thank you, Mitch. Again, thank you all for joining us. A few housekeeping items. We are recording this event, and so we will send out the recording either tomorrow or Friday, so you will get that. This is a student panel Q&A. Ms. Huntsman will be moderating with questions she'll be asking the students, but you'll each have an opportunity, or not each, you'll have an opportunity. We'll have an open Q&A for the last 15 minutes. We'll let you know when that gets started, and you're welcome to either put your question in the chat or, wave your hand and say, I have a question, and you can just ask it. And if you want to direct it to a specific student, please feel free to do so. And again, I'll let you know when that is happening. I want to thank Dr. Gilday, our superintendent, is here tonight, and thank you for joining us. We know there are many demands on your time, and we appreciate all your support of the Park City Education Foundation and all you're doing to help our students. And also our executive director of Park City Education Foundation, Abby McNulty, is here tonight as well. And then thank you, all of you Scholar Circle members. This is a Scholar Circle event. One of the benefits of joining Scholar Circle, getting this up close and personal view, and we can't do what we do without your gifts and championship of Park City students. A little bit of background on the Ed Foundation. PCEF leads the community and funding initiatives that inspire all Park City students to reach their academic and lifelong potential. And we've been doing this since 1986. And a lot of times people move here and they don't know why a public school would have an education foundation. Well, the reason is Utah has the lowest funded public education system in the country. We're 51 after all the states and the District of Columbia. We also have 96% of our state collected education tax dollars leave Park City and go to fund other districts in Utah. So we exist to help change that equation, and we do that through donors like you. How do we change that equation? We change it by funding 8 critical program initiatives. Those are preschool, our elementary visual arts program, our after-school program, K through 9. We fund all kinds of STEM programs. The Park City Center for Advanced Professional Studies, PCCAPS, and the Bright Futures program at the high school. Classroom and Emergency Express grants, and several of the programs tonight are funded by classroom grants. And our Student and Teacher Idea Lab. Tonight, we want to talk to you a little bit about our shift in work due to the pandemic. Like everybody else, we've had a major shift. But one thing that hasn't changed is our commitment to student success in any form. And thanks to you, we've been able to continue funding programs like debate, film, robotics, PCCAPS, Latinos in Action, band, Bright Futures, and many more. Long-term studies have shown that these co-curricular or extracurricular classes, clubs, sports programs are actually as important, if not more so, to student development as the core learning classes. And educators across the country are sounding alarms that all of these programs are going away with remote learning. These programs provide several things for students. They provide them real-world experience. They keep them engaged. Studies show that they creates a pride in their school. And oftentimes, these programs are the only reason kids go to school. And with half the schools in the country in full remote learning, educators are worried that students will leave and never come back. So it's very important. They're not just fun, they're very important. We're very lucky in Park City that all of these programs are continuing at Park City High, although in a different capacity in many ways due to the pandemic. And we're thrilled tonight to have 8 students to talk about their experiences in these programs. And they're actually involved in many more than just these 8. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Park City School District's Career and Technical Education Director, Lindsey Huntsman. Lindsey was born and raised in a suburb of Atlanta, Georgia, and she spent most of her summers playing competitive soccer and softball. Her passion for education and supporting the success of all students has been shaped over the past 15 years as a teacher, assistant principal, and CTE director across 4 school districts. We have worked with Lindsey for years. We are incredibly lucky to have Lindsey as the CTE director here in the Park City School District. And Lindsey, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jen. Good evening. Thank you for investing in our students. Your efforts make the programs you'll hear about tonight possible. We'll begin with introductions of our panelists. Panelists, take a moment to introduce yourself. Tell us your grade and what club and/or class you're representing this evening, and your role in the club and/or class. Drew, let's have you go first.
Hi, my name is Drew Neff. I am a senior at the high school, and I am representing the film and photography program. It's definitely been an interesting year, but I'm really glad that we've been able to have the support from the Ed Foundation to keep doing what we have been doing so far this year.
Thanks, Drew. Roxy, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Roxy. I am a senior at the high school, and I am representing Latinos in Action. I am president this year, and I've been in that class for about 6 years now.
Thanks, Roxy. Ryan, why don't you go next?
My name is Ryan Sue. I'm in 11th grade this year, and I'm representing the robotics club, and this is my 4th year doing it, I believe.
Thanks, Ryan. Ben, please introduce yourself.
You already heard my name. I'm Bennett. I'm representing the PCCAPS tech strand, which is easily my favorite class, and I'm also a senior too. So.
Thanks, Ben. Shasid.
Hello, my name is Shasid. I am a senior at Park City High School, and I am representing Bright Futures, and it is my 3rd year there.
Thank you. And Max.
Hi, my name is Max O'Reilly. I'm a senior at the high school, and I'm representing our debate program, which allows students to engage critically in arguments about public policy, or other students who prefer more like speech-related events to give those sort of events. And I'm a public forum captain on that team.
Thanks, Max. Emily and Lauren. Emily, if you'll introduce yourself first, and then Lauren will wrap us up with introductions.
Hi, I'm Emily. I am a junior, and hi, I'm Lauren. I am also a junior at the high school. And we're both representing the PCCAPS Business Solutions strand, where this is our first time participating in the class, but we've both been involved with many different business related classes at the high school.
Thanks, ladies. Question 1. This first question is for you, Drew and Roxy. Drew, I'll have you respond first, and then Roxy, you will respond second. How is this class and/or club different from your other classes? Drew, if you'll respond first.
So I think what makes film and photography definitely different from other classes is the level of freedom that students have within it. Mr. Fish and Miss Starr, through each kind of level of the class they teach, they will help give you the foundations you need. And then it really is a less structured class that lets students really explore and be creative and really to kind of push themselves with filmmaking. And I think it's also really, really interesting to see that for a public school, the amazing equipment that we are able to use due to the grants through the Education Foundation, that you wouldn't really be able to, no students would be able to get access to otherwise.
Thanks, Drew. And Roxy, how is LIA different from your other classes?
Well, LIA is definitely our primary objective is to serve in and outside of our school. One of the requirements is to be in the class is to be bilingual in English and Spanish. And we use that bilingualism to translate in our community. We translate at the People's Health Clinic. We translate at all the parent-teacher conferences in the Park City School District. And we volunteer and translate at every other nonprofit organization that reaches out for our help. But we're not only translators, we are also leaders within our school and our community. Almost every student in the class is taking an advanced class, and we all graduate after high school, and we move on to college. And we're just trying to change the narrative and break the stereotypes that are being placed on marginalized groups, especially our Latinx community. So we are just trying to advocate for our Latinx communities and trying to represent our people and give them a voice. And that's something that we don't really see in young people. So I think that that's something really important in high school, and it's definitely going to benefit us in the future.
Thank you. Drew, I have a follow-up question for you. You won Best Original Story for your film Cuffs during the Minor Film Festival last year and filmed some of the scenes during a pandemic. What adjustments or pivots did you have to make to ensure Cuffs became the film you envisioned?
So first of all, for anybody who doesn't know, Cuffs is a workplace comedy, kind of an homage to The Office. And that follows a group of police officers who are not very good at their jobs. And luckily, by the time we kind of went into full lockdown around mid-March, the majority of scenes involving the entire cast ensemble had been filmed, but there were still a couple more scenes left that we needed to figure out how we were going to do them when we couldn't be in the same room with each other. So with a combination of rewriting as well as kind of creative filming some scenes with only one actor and then replacing audio and stitching it all together to create a final product that hopefully you can't tell that it was never filmed all at once.
Good. Very well done. Roxy, I have a follow-up question for you. You're currently enrolled in our Certified Nursing Assistant program that's sponsored by MTech. How will earning this credential to be a CNA in high school help you as you enter college?
With earning the Certified Nursing Assistant certificate, I will be able to apply to jobs at clinics and hospitals while being in college, and that will be super awesome. I can be an actual CNA in those facilities, and because I want to be a pediatrician in my future career, I think that that will be a great advantage for me, so that the jobs I apply to in the future, they'll be able to see that I started off at an early age. And I think it's a great opportunity in high school. I don't know many other high schools that have that sort of class. So, yeah.
Thanks, Roxy. Ryan and Ben, I have a question for each of you. Ryan, I'll ask you to respond first. How has robotics had to adapt during COVID?
Yeah, so definitely we have migrated to a lot of online options, such as a lot of use of Discord and Slack, which is basically ways that we can communicate with our team and other people in the club through both text and voice channels. And so this has helped a lot because at the beginning of our season, which starts around the beginning of the school year, a lot of the main things that we would need to meet for are to plan out designs into CAD, which is all done online. And so that's what the majority of our teams are doing this year. And so we don't really need to meet a lot in person. And so after that, we are going to be able to build our robots in the same robotics room that we've been using in previous years. And then also the competitions this year all of the competitions are going to have the choice of being either online or in person. Typically, they are in person previous to this year, and they have had like 20 or so teams per competition. But this year, certain competitions are going to be able to go online, and we can just record recordings of our robot performing certain actions rather than having to go in with a lot of people nearby.
Thanks, Ryan. Ben, I know you enrolled in PCCAPS last fall and worked on a project for Stronger Brains, and this year you're working on a project with Here Technologies. How has CAPS been different this year due to COVID?
Well, for me at least, my client was based in San Francisco last year, which meant that I only met with him via Skype calls. And this year, my client's based in Park City, and while I could have met in person had COVID not been a thing, it is through Zoom, but that really hasn't changed as a result of COVID. Like, I am still able to meet in the same way I did last year with my client and do the same amount of work in class. It's actually kind of nice seeing that, like, you know, some other classes like physics has to adapt. You can't really do labs anymore, but PCCAPS being kind of like static like that, that's been pretty nice for me, especially during a global pandemic. But yeah, so I wouldn't say it's changed that much.
And if you had to describe your project in one sentence and in layman terms, so all of us non-tech people could understand it, how would you describe it?
I'm learning a lot of new things to build the data visualization for Here Technologies, which buzzword will be used by self-driving cars. Yeah.
Thanks, Ben. Ryan, I have a follow-up question for you. I know the robotics team plans to host a competition here at the high school in February. Given COVID, what adjustments or shifts might you need to make to be able to host that competition successfully?
I believe that a lot of things that we can do is we can limit the number of teams that can attend the competition. Because in previous years, a lot of teams would come from even different states, like Colorado or even like Montana, just to compete in different states and then have a better chance of qualifying for the World Festival. But this year we can limit things like that, and so we can kind of keep the competition a little bit more localized and prevent a lot of contact. A lot of the competitions this year are also going to be just spread out more, like people don't have to stand right next to each other like they did in previous years, but yeah.
Thanks, Ryan. And Ben, another follow-up for you. If you had to pinpoint one skill you acquired through PCCAPS that will propel you forward, whether it be college or the world of work, what would it be?
I think that would be like the ability to work in a professional capacity in a tech setting. I had like a hobby with computers before PCCAPS, but it's a really big difference having to make something for like a client and present that to them. And so I would carry around that with me. I think I would also carry around too all of like the new skills and technologies that I've been learning. And I really like the mentorship facet of like the PCCAPS program. My client has been like a big part in what I'm learning, and just being able to reach out to somebody who is in a field that I would like to go into. That's been really nice. Yeah.
Thanks, Ben. Shahseed and Max, the next set of questions for each of you. Shahseed, I will ask that you respond first, and then Max. Shahseed, if you weren't able to be involved with Bright Futures during COVID, how would that have personally impacted you?
That's a very easy question. I would lose my mind. Bright Futures definitely helped me, and not only me, but the rest of the students. We have 90 students in Bright Futures, starting from sophomore year to senior year, and 27 of them in college. And so they have financially supported us, and with anything else we need, emotional support. But to answer the question, like I said, I don't know where I would be with high school support and college support. They go one-on-one with you, and they go to a Zoom meeting. So they prepare all of the things step by step, so they know exactly how they are helping you. And I would not have applied to as many colleges as I did without them.
Thank you. Awesome story. Max, same question for you. If you weren't able to be involved with choir and debate during COVID, how would that have personally impacted you?
I just would have been bored, to be entirely honest. Like, even though I'm sitting down in front of my computer for the entire weekend for a debate, just like talking about random foreign policy, there's a reason I do it. It's because it's really entertaining, both intellectually and on a personal level for me. And had I not been able to do that, even in a virtual setting, I would have just like, there's really not much else for me to do on a weekend. I'd instead of like sitting on my computer talking with my partner over the phone and debating other teams from across the country, I would have been sitting on my couch staring at my phone and not doing anything productive. And debate is a really super fun, engaging activity to be involved in. So even if I'm sitting at my desk all weekend, it's still super rewarding and fun to be able to do that. And had I not been able to do that, it would have been really, really boring. And with choir, it would have been sad, honestly. Music makes me very, very happy. And but I'm very grateful that we're still able to be involved in that virtually or still in person, even with a ridiculous looking mask.
Thanks, Max. Shahseed, I have a follow-up for you. Given your involvement with multiple extracurricular activities such as cheerleading and student council, what has helped you balance schoolwork and after-school events?
So as cheerleading, I am captain, so that definitely keeps me occupied. And for student council, I am student on the board, which I have to attend meetings. And another piece to add is I am an intern at Park City Community Foundation, which is actually brought by, I got the opportunity to be an intern because of Bright Futures. But the good thing about Bright Futures, it doesn't only teach you about college and how to graduate from college. It teaches you how to succeed and not just college. And so they teach you time management and scholarship opportunities. So the time management classes or workshops are definitely a huge help to all of the students to help them learn to not procrastinate and to keep a blocked schedule for everybody. So that has definitely helped me out with my busy schedule.
Thank you. Max, a follow-up question for you. We've recently experienced some contentious conditions in our country. Do you feel the skills you've acquired through debate have helped you personally navigate controversial topics?
I would say 100% it has, because being involved in debate requires you to critically examine arguments. So because to be like competitively viable in debate, you have to be able to understand your opponent's arguments to a point where you can like win in them or like attack them internally to show how they're wrong. And while that isn't necessarily entirely applicable to life outside of debate, because I'm not looking to like destroy and attack everything that someone says that I disagree with, it's really, really important because it allows debaters to look critically into arguments that may not be true or may be true, and it allows them to decide what they should believe on a level that goes way deeper than like the average person just reading a couple things on the internet. Because through debate, you actually understand why an argument is true and how the implications of that play out. You also there's also a lot of research into the historical precedents of that. So through this learning about like understanding why an argument happens and all sorts of things that you have to do for debate, I'd say it's far easier to navigate what you think is true and what is not true.
Thanks, Max. The next set of questions is for Emily, you, and Lauren. Emily, I'd like you to respond first. How has PCCAPS shaped your idea of what you want to do beyond high school?
So before starting in PCCAPS, I definitely knew that I was interested in business, hence why we both, I think, chose business solutions. But being in the class has only made me more sure of this pathway, especially as I'm looking into applying into programs into college and stuff like that. So being in PCCAPS has definitely kind of showed me specifically what I'm interested in that business world. So the promotional and marketing aspects of it is definitely something that I can see myself pursuing in the future. And it's also helped me to further determine some of my strengths and weaknesses as well, as far as seeing, again, what the best path in the business world will be for me.
Thanks, Emily. And Lauren, same question for you. How has PCCAPS shaped your idea of what you want to do beyond high school?
Yes, so I also have always been a very business-minded person, and I've always looked forward to pursuing business in the future since I've been surrounded by that as I've grown up. But being able to participate in this through this program has allowed me to kind of test out the waters of the business world in a real life setting. So I think that it's really helped me just figure out my business skills and find what I need to work on. As Emily said, like find my strengths and weaknesses. And also business is such a broad field that it's helped me determine more of a narrow pathway that I want to go in. So I think that I'm more interested in business administration rather than entrepreneurship. So I think it's been really good in just aligning my thoughts with where I want to go with that in my future.
Thanks. Follow-up question for you, Emily. This semester, we implemented a new project management tool focused on Scrum and sprint cycles. Do you feel the skills you've acquired have been helpful to stay organized when working with multiple entities such as Hearth and Hill and the Park City Ed Foundation?
Yes, so I definitely think that the implementation of Scrum has been very helpful. So just to kind of briefly explain for those that are unfamiliar, this is a process that we use in PCCAPS to stay organized. So it helps you kind of figure out what your main goals are and how you're going to accomplish them in like a very specific organized structure. So we work in sprints. So for the entire semester, there are a total of 6 sprints. And at the end of each sprint, we have a meeting with our client. So this is really helpful because it's allowed us to have these regular meetings that are scheduled with our clients so we can make sure that we're checking in. And it also really helps to make sure that you're not procrastinating. So having to finish a certain amount of tasks in each sprint and having this Scrum board to help you determine like who's doing what task, I think has really helped both of us be able to stay focused and accomplish all of our tasks and goals in the right amount of time, and then be able to look professional when we're presenting to our client. So it's been very helpful.
Great. Lauren, same question for you. Do you feel the project management skills you've acquired have been helpful to stay organized when working with multiple entities?
Yes, I would definitely say that PCCAPS has helped my communication skills a lot, especially just through emailing with Park City Education Foundation as well as Hearth and Hill. I've learned how important it is to include every single detail from making sure that the logo is included and that the image placements are all correct, and just making sure that all of the information gets to both entities so that everyone is in the loop and on the same page with where the event is going. And then as well, I feel like since we're working in a group, it's been important to make sure that we are both communicating between ourselves to make sure that every task does get accomplished and that we are communicating with both of our clients effectively.
Great. Thanks, ladies. We have a few more minutes. I have one final question for our student panel, and I'll give you 30 seconds to formulate a response before calling on each of you, and we'll follow the same order as we did as introductions. So in one word, describe what it means to be a minor. Give you guys a couple seconds to think about that. And Drew, when you have your response, you can kick it off for us.
I think I would describe being a minor as bold.
Thank you. And Roxy, when you're ready, go ahead and respond. Describe in one word what it means to be a minor.
I think I would say acceptance.
And Ryan.
I'm gonna go with individual.
Ben.
PC pride, go Miners.
And Shasid.
I would say diverse.
Max.
I would say disciplined.
Emily.
I would say community.
And Lauren.
I would say grit.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Let's give our student panel a round of jazz hands with a smile. We appreciate you guys sharing your personal experiences and stories with us this evening.
Great job, everyone. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, I loved that. And we actually have a little more time than we thought to open up the Q&A to the audience. But before we do, I do want to do a little bit of self-promotion. Mitch, can you throw up the PCCAPS? So this is the project that Emily and Lauren have been working on. Their client was Hearth and Hill, and Hearth and Hill came to them with this project. And, you know, I think to how do we improve business? And they partnered, they asked if we would want to be the give back partner for them this week. And so this is the week. There is a new menu item for lunch, and every dollar that is sold will go, for every sandwich that is sold, $1 will come back to the Ed Foundation. And so I encourage everyone to buy this sandwich. It's their delicious new turkey sandwich, and we all had it at the Ed Foundation today. It was delicious. But we've been working with them, and they've been working with Brooks at Hearth and Hill for the last 3 months. And it really has been a pleasure and a joy to see them work on this. And these are the kind of real world experiences, at least in the business solutions that PCCAPS does. So I just want to put in that plug that you can continue to help PCCAPS, Hearth and Hill, and the Ed Foundation. Thanks, Mitch. You can take that off now. But anyway, yeah, we want to open it up Q&A to the audience. You can either type your question in the chat, or I can't see all of you. So if we miss you and you want to ask a question, say, Jen, I want to ask a question in the chat, and you can direct it to a specific student, or you can ask every student to answer it. But does anyone have a question? Mitch, maybe you can help me looking. Okay, Katie.
Sorry, I have a question when y'all have a minute.
Yes, go
It's
ahead.
It's not a question, it's a comment. I want to tell all of the kids that have been on this tonight, or the young adults, y'all are awesome. And you have certainly taught me and educated me in all these other areas that I did not realize were part of our school system. And so thank you for that. I would love to try to help figure out how to get the word out about these other opportunities for children within the district. And I mean, I'm not surprised that I didn't know about it, because I'm kind of a moron, but this is awesome. Like, what y'all have shared is fantastic. Second, to your point, Jen, about the Hearth and Hill, Brooks has been absolutely phenomenal for the girls. And I am so, so, so pleased by his leadership and his mentoring. And as Emily's mother, this project has been so much fun for her. And I know for Lauren as well. They have absolutely loved it. So thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for working with them. And they have learned so much more than what they could have learned in a textbook. So for that, we are super, super grateful to the Ed Foundation, to Mr. Fiesler, to Brooks at Hearth and Hill, and to the girls for having the opportunity for this. So anyway, that's my comment. It wasn't really a question. Sorry.
Don't apologize. No apologizing necessary. And for all the Scholar Circle donors on this call, all of these programs are supported by your gifts, all of these. So, thank you for that, because you can see the incredible opportunities you're giving these amazing students. Does anyone else have a question?
Jen, I just want to make a comment from PCCAPS. We have really been able to elevate our program in the last year and engage more local businesses, as well as introduce project management, the Google Suite, and some things that we haven't done in the past. And that's a big thanks to my teachers being willing to take risk and the students responding well.
Katie.
Lindsey, a friend of mine, she was on this call. I believe she's had to drop. Her name is Tara Joyner, and she's part of Scholar Circle. She was on a little bit ago. Her husband has a company that's run out of Salt Lake, and he has mentioned to Tara a great business opportunity. I don't know if you know Tara Joyner, but if I send you her contact, would you be willing to follow up with her tomorrow about some opportunity within her husband's business to get the kids involved?
Yes, absolutely. We're actually in the final stages of solidifying projects for spring. So
Great.
Perfect timing.
Perfect. Okay, I will follow up. I'll find your email somewhere.
Just L Huntsman. I'll put it in the chat.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, dear.
I want to ask the kids a couple things for everyone here, speaking of getting involved. So Ryan, for the robotics competition coming up in February, do you guys need judging help? I know not everyone may volunteer. I don't know if volunteering is going to be online or in person, but will the competition need judges?
I'm not sure quite yet, but I know that in the previous years, we have had a lot of, pretty much the whole staff is made up of volunteers that are hosting and participating in the competition. And so I don't know about this year, but in previous years, we definitely had to have a lot of volunteers.
Okay, well, maybe that's something we can put out to our Scholar Circle members, to volunteer if they're needed. I'm reading a question here in the chat. This is for everybody. Is there a list of students who are qualified but are denied access to the programs because of funding? Are all qualified students able to participate? My understanding is that all qualified students are able to participate. The school district has waived fees. Part of why the Ed Foundation funds things are to make sure fees are either low or non-existent. Lindsey, do you have any other answer to that question?
Yeah, I'd have to say that finances are not a barrier. We work very hard to ensure that finances are not a barrier and there's equal access regardless of background or financial situation.
Question, Emily, for you. I think when we were talking the other day, you had listed off you were involved in many other clubs. I think you were the president of one other club. Maybe the same question that Shasid answered, how do you juggle all that?
So I think this might actually be Lauren was the one.
Oh, Lauren, sorry. Yes.
The other day, so I'll let her go ahead and respond to this. Yeah, you're all right. So especially with COVID right now, all of the meetings have been virtual and there have been a lot of virtual projects. So I feel like that's almost helped with balancing all of my work because I'm able to sign up for projects or do projects on my own time that I wouldn't normally be able to do if I had to worry about transportation or anything like that. So it's actually the whole virtual implementations have created a great experience.
Yeah, that's interesting. You don't have to travel and get to everywhere. Roxy, for you, I didn't realize you were in the CNA program. I mean, how are you doing that with COVID? I mean, for, for learning, I mean, you have to be pretty close with patients, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, we aren't doing actual clinicals at any clinics or any other facilities, which is, it sucks because everyone was really looking forward to that. But instead, we're doing all of our clinicals online. Our first round of clinicals, we're reading articles about infections and how to fight them and like how washing your hands is important. So it's definitely not the same as it was supposed to be. But it's still a lot of fun. I mean, we still get to work in the lab with each other, and we have distance and sanitizing everything, with working with mannequins and on the beds and everything. But we're managing it, but it's definitely not the same.
I would imagine. Dr. Gilday, if you're still on the call, we do have a question, perhaps that you could answer. Hi, Dr. Gilday. I can't see everybody at once. So someone asked, for you as an educator, who's worked across the country in many districts, how does Park City District differentiate or compare to other districts across the country with access to these programs?
I love these programs, but they are definitely unique, and they're unique because of the sponsorship and support of all of you, and the fact that we have the Park City Education Foundation, who's helped bring these ideas and innovations to life. We don't always have that in public school systems. So I think this partnership aspect is incredible. And I do think it gives our students incredible opportunities so that they can shine on their college or career applications post high school. So I'm very excited for our students to have these opportunities, and I'm proud of each one of you for taking advantage of the different clubs, sports activities, teams, academic ways to stretch yourselves, because that's what makes high school more fun, but it also really prepares you for all those projects and real life experiences as well when you get out of high school. So you are preparing yourself well.
Agreed. Do we have any other questions from the audience? If I can't see you, you can certainly type in the chat and we'll read it. And if there are not, then I'll give it one more minute. This has been, we talk about this today in our staff meeting, the students really are the reason why we're here, and COVID and the pandemic, we haven't been able to be in schools and to see you guys and to watch you and come to your competitions. And so this really fills us up and shows us, why we do what we do. And I hope it does for everybody on this call. And so, there is a question that came up actually, and this would be for Shaseed and Roxy. Is there any crossover between LIA and Bright Futures? And Roxy, do you want to start?
Sure. Like crossover with like our schedules, or do we ever
like our kids, are kids in both programs?
Oh,
things like that.
Yeah. Most of the students in LIA are in Bright Futures. Yeah, that I know of. Most of the students either join later on in the years of high school, or they join right from the beginning of high school, just because it's something so important for the Latinx community, because it is such a big help. So yeah, Mrs. Williams, our LIA teacher, definitely encourages us to join Bright Futures. Yeah.
And Shaseed, do you have any addition you want to say to that?
Yeah, of course. I am one of the exceptions that is not in LIA. I actually transferred from LIA to student council. Since they are the same class period time, I couldn't join both, which is very upsetting. But I had been in LIA ever since 7th grade, and until high school is when I decided to join student council and take a challenge. But LIA is great, and most of the kids in LIA are in Bright Futures.
And so for our audience, so not everyone may be familiar. So Latinos in Action is a Latinx leadership program. The students use their bilingual and multicultural skills, volunteering in the community, building up leadership skills. And Bright Futures is a very specific for kids who are the first in their families in low income to get to and also graduate from college. So they often work hand in hand. And that was a great question about the crossover. We do have a question. Let's see, Mary Murphy wants to ask a question. Go ahead, Mary.
Hi all, I'm Mary. I'm interning right now for the Ed Foundation. I'm a college student, and I just wanted to say to everyone who presented, I like to think I'm prepared for the work world, but clearly you all are way more prepared and experienced than even I am, so kudos to you guys. Shashid, I wanted to ask you a follow-up question. You had mentioned that, you know, a whole bunch of Bright Future students are in college now, right? And so I'd love for you to explain a little bit about what that means to students, you know, post high school graduation, and how that network or community kind of plays a role in your life once you leave Park City High School.
Yeah, definitely. So they are definitely a huge role model to us still in high school. I mentioned that they were 27 of them, and this year was the first year that the first generation of the college students that went to college. And I always pop into Miss O'Brien's little workspace classroom to check up on how everything is going. And she always has lovely care packages for them, little fruits and snacks and meal plans so that they don't have to worry about that and they can focus directly on college. I know that there are some students that were struggling a little bit when the whole COVID hit. But Bright Futures has a backup plan financially for situations like that. If any student in Bright Futures ever needs anything, they have the financial support for that. Not only college students, but they are definitely a huge role model. We actually have an upcoming new and old reunion just to see how they are doing and how they can help us lead us into college.
Thanks, Shashid. We have one last question and then we'll wrap it up. This is from Sarah Hutchinson for Max. She wants to know, when did you start debate and what grade does the program actually begin?
So I started debating in 8th grade. I was in Sharon Ellsworth Nielsen's class. It's just like a semester-long class that kids at the high school could take. I was really lucky because when I started taking the class, it was also available to students at Treasure Mountain, but that isn't an option, I think, anymore, which is a bit unfortunate for our program. But we've still done a very good job recruiting with Miss Williams and our coach Gavin Sir doing a great job with that. And as throughout the years, it's been a really, really fun activity. And the last tournament that I'll have as a senior, the year has gone by insanely fast, but the last tournament I'll have, I think, is either in March or April, and it's the state finals, unless I qualify for national tournaments.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, good luck with that. You're incredibly articulate. So, you know, more articulate than a lot of adults I know. So
more than me, that's for sure. So for each of you, this will be our last question before we wrap it up. An audience member said, where can we see your work or learn more about your work? Drew, starting with you, there is a showcase at the end of the year, correct?
Yeah, so every year at the end of the year in early May, I know the date probably hasn't been set yet, but I think this year is May 6th. There is the Minor Film Festival where any student, even if you aren't in the film program, any student has the ability to submit a film, and then the films that are accepted into the festival on a non-COVID year are screened in the Eccles Center in front of most of the school and an entire audience. It's definitely a big event, and even this year in May, while we were remote, it was just a live stream that everybody was able to tune in from home to watch everybody's work.
So you'll let us know the date and we will let everybody know. For debate, is it possible to watch these debate competitions at all, or are they live streamed? I don't know anything about that.
It really depends on the competition. Some of them allow spectators to join the Zooms. I know last year, the Tournament of Champions, which is like the be-all, end-all tournament that all debaters strive to get to, and last year we had 2 teams qualify for. They allow students to join the rooms, and those rounds are also live streamed on YouTube. And at some more national tournaments, once you get into out rounds, which are like, I guess you would say the final rounds, if it was like a sports event or something, those are often put on YouTube. And in some tournaments recently, we've had teams make it to those types of out rounds. So we'll have debaters, Tom Perret and Will Effersey will probably be on YouTube, and you can watch them there. And then also we can record rounds, and we do practice rounds at the high school, and anyone who's interested in watching is welcome to contact me or any one of the coaches, and we'd be happy to have you come in and watch around and even judge, because it's really important for us to get feedback from people who aren't debaters, because there are a lot of tournaments that we go to where our judges aren't debaters. So we have to, I guess, dumb it down in a sense, but in reality, we're just talking like normal people do so that we can actually become more competitive. But yeah, we should definitely start recording rounds.
That'd be great. Lindsey, I might follow up with you to get dates and all this so we can send out links and things to our audience. I'm going to step in just for Shasid for Bright Futures, because next Tuesday on the 8th, we are actually having a Bright Futures panel with 2 of our Bright Futures college students. So I will put the link to register for that in the follow-up to this event. So anyone who would like to get to know the Bright Futures program a little better, we'll do that. Let's see, for PCCAPS, I mean, obviously we want you all to go have lunch at Hearth and Hill this week. Ben, what about, or Lindsey, any of these other projects? Can we see them? Do we see the final results? How do we find out?
Yeah, so students are prepping for final presentations right now. Tomorrow we have a guest speaker, Lonnie Main, who's a local Park City resident, but has a phenomenal motivational speaking series that we're going to provide for our kids. And then December 11th and 15th, kids will give their final presentation to a panel of industry professionals as well as some district officials. And we plan to record those, and then we're going to upload them to our website, highlighting some of the best projects of the semester. We haven't done that in the past, but that's something we talked about and feel it's necessary given COVID as well as future years, so people can look back at those as well as future clients can see what to expect from our students.
Awesome. Ryan, the robotics competitions, will that be streamed? Do you know, will you let us know or let the coach let us know so we can watch if we want?
So every competition, it just depends on the school that's hosting it, and it just depends on what they want to do. So some schools will stream it on twitch.tv, or some of them will stream it on YouTube. It just depends on what they want. Also, I think you can go to PCHSrobotics.org, and that's just more information about our teams and what robotics kind of is and like what we're doing. And there you can also register and contact everybody that you need to.
PCHSrobotics.org. Okay, we'll send that link out. And then finally, Roxy, for LIA, you guys are a volunteer organization, but if anyone needed translation services or wanted to reach out to you if they had a volunteer need, how would they reach you or reach LIA?
Well, you could always reach out to Mrs. Williams or Mr. Job, who is also co-teaching with Mrs. Williams this year. And I don't know how I could get their emails to you or their phone number, whatever you might need, or myself or our other co-president. Her name is Brittany. And we're always open for translating and serving. It's really hard this year because no one's taking any volunteers, even though we really want to. But it's just for everyone's safety right now. But we're definitely looking for some opportunities. And we are also working on creating our own page where we're going to put pictures of all the volunteer work we've done and all of our service work, and just to kind of show the community what we're up to all the time. And we're still working on that though. So yeah.
It's all everything's a work in progress. Well, thank you so much. This has been amazing. Again, thank you. Yes, Shasid.
I wanted to add a little bit to the Bright Futures, how you guys can connect.
Sure.
Anybody is welcome to be a mentor to any Bright Future student. There are many paths that these kids want to take, if it's either business or medical or any career path. They're always welcome. I know that the kids would love to just have someone mentoring them and having them under your wing. I know it would be a great experience for a lot of these kids.
So true. I love that, both about Bright Futures and PCCAPS, always in need of mentors, and we'll include all this information in our follow-up. Thank you, Shasid, for bringing that up. Thank you, all of you students. I know you're incredibly busy, and thanks to everyone for spending your time tonight. Mitch, if you want to, can you put up the slide again? If you want to contact us, keep in touch. Please follow us on social media. We have pictures of students and what they're doing all the time, all the programs. It's because of you guys that we can fund these initiatives that inspire students to reach their academic and lifelong potential. And wow, are these kids inspiring or what? And so we look forward to you guys leading all of us into a better future. We'll share the recording soon. And that is a wrap. Have a wonderful holiday season. We hope we see a lot of you next Tuesday at the Bright Futures panel. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, kids. Sorry, young adults.
Thank you, everyone, for your donations.
Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate all of y'all's support. Yeah, thank you, everyone.